Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching American Horror Story, Season 10, Double Feature, Part 1, Red Tide, Episode 6.
Winter Kills.
Winter Kills. Winter is unnecessary.
Ooh,
I thought this episode was unnecessary.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I don't think it undoes.
I don't think it undoes, but it also, I feel like it kind of limped over the finish line. Like, I was still entertained by all of it, but there was, for like the last like 20 to 30 minutes of this episode, I was kind of like, well, okay.
Let's talk about this entirely new, different new thing.
I guess.
Well, that is a good point, because you can tell this episode thought its whole point was closure.
Yeah.
But I somehow left it with more questions than I went into.
Yeah, because that's the
Did Alma make the Philharmagic? We live in Orlando, Florida.
It was between her and that other
Rory
kid. Yeah, so I guess.
No, I don't think this takes away
or
undoes the excellence of this season.
Not at all.
But I would be entirely comfortable if I were showing the season to another person, being like, the end.
Yeah.
Be like, there's more if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
But because this answered maybe two questions that we still had, both of which is in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And, they trot out Dot Marie Jones, always welcome.
Cool.
But
why?
No resolution.
Yeah. Doesn't continue anywhere.
Was Billy Lord.
Yeah.
2 episodes, definitely. Series regular, Lark.
I also can't get over it, and I know that this is not the point of this season or anything, but like Ursula was being so irresponsible with the pills. So irresponsible. Just handing them out to huge groups of people.
With hubris. Making a scene while she did it. Oh, yeah. Not even just slipping them into people's coffee.
Like, basically doing a TED Talk. You get a
pill, and you get a pill.
It's seriously basically a TED Talk. It was kind of ridiculous. I kind of like that Angelica Ross just, deuced out with the baby.
Yeah, his best case scenario. We should all be so lucky.
To get Angelica Ross to adopt us and drive us into the distance.
As a mad scientist?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of, and Alma continued to, it was fine.
She didn't need to kill, like I said, she didn't need to kill Harry.
Well, he was going to take her pills away.
Sure. It was very slapdash in a way that I'm by sheer force of will, I'm maintaining that it's not going to undo or negate the excellence of the season, but it just...
I sincerely don't think it negates the excellence of the season, but now that we are done with part 1, I do kind of think it should have been 5 and 5 because I really feel like we could have ended last week and on a really bittersweet, melancholy note, and then just imagined what the
because it was
held.
Nice to have Robin.
Or had an hour and 15-minute episode last week that touched on a little bit of the future.
Chop that off and put it on the end. Yeah. And I don't know. It was nice to have Robin Weigert back, and it was nice to actually get confirmation that yes, Provincetown is just entirely aware of and fine with this deal.
She literally goes, "Those are winter problems." And Dot Marie Jones was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And she was like, "Winter here is weird, but come springtime, everything's fine."
They get the gays. They love the gays.
Yeah.
That was a nice answer. We still never did find out how the pale men get the teeth.
Yeah.
But
maybe Lark is just doing some pro bono work.
That's what we moonlighting. We said I enjoyed it enough that I was fine to let that go.
Sure.
But so I did appreciate that opening scene with the council.
Yeah. They're very strict. They're like a bitchy HOA.
Well, it was remember when going into this, I was like, is this going to be like one of those lottery-esque Lovecraftian pretty much once you get Ursula sneaking into the cemetery to form an alliance with the Pale Men, that's where the fuckery starts.
Yeah. That is some general fuckery. Because we have not been led to believe that a regular person can reason with the Pale Men.
Well, I think so. They didn't confirm this though in an episode whose sole in purpose was tidying and clearing things up. They didn't confirm that. It seems she was in cahoots with the chemist.
Yeah.
It seems that when her and Alma went to the chemist's house at the end of last episode when they saw Doris, that they were making this alliance with her and screwing over Austin and Belle. But it was sort of like when we ended last week, we were like, but what about Austin and Belle?
Yeah.
And then we come into this week and it's like, and it's sort of like, oh.
That's the thing is like,
so they're just dead very easily. Like
we lost the 3 main characters of this season in like 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of like,
And as much, I mean, I was totally here for the Ursula and Alma show, but it doesn't really, like, Ursula and Alma by all for all we know part ways. Like,
yeah.
And as wonderful as I thought Angelica Ross was, we weren't invested in her or the baby. I mean,
what are the chances that Ursula even made it out of that auditorium alive?
Yeah, again, I somehow left with more questions than I went in with.
Yeah.
This was the typical American Horror Story. It's got to be part of his deal, whatever deal with whatever devil he made.
Yeah. But then you have to go absolutely batshit so no one understands anything.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, can it be at the end this time?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. We also got a congratulations on the deal we made with the devil, with the Ryan Murphy devil.
Yeah.
Because it's working out for us and our 1,000 subscribers. Woo! Give me more.
Yeah.
2,000, please.
We'll take the black pill live on YouTube.
I mean, you have pills?
No.
Are you holding out on me?
I don't have any pills, unfortunately.
I'll be fisting pills. So, I mean, anything of consequence? I mean, I guess they have unleashed this plague on. It ended in sort of like the beginning of Planet Terror. Yeah. Like Grindhouse Planet Terror.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that dude was.
Fine. Which dude?
The old white man who was giving the speech where Ursula crashed his TED Talk. He's dead.
I think he's irrelevant too. Yeah. Is the thing is because she just was waltzing around different Starbucks locations in Los Angeles, handing out handfuls of these pills. I don't know. It seems I liked what Angelica Ross was doing, which is feeding a different pill to racist cops so that they would attack bystanders, and then the other cops would have to shoot them.
But that's an entirely different show.
Sure.
Because also she was like, I mean, that nice commentary, necessary, timely, important, good work. But the loophole in that system was in those racist cops had to hurt and kill
innocent bystanders,
collateral, in order to be and again,
I think when you're playing God on the level of her, you're not worried about individual.
Well, but she's doing it. She's feeding the racist cops these pills, and it's only by coincidence that was just like a Hollywood tourist. I mean, Isn't the thought process that they would then go do this to people of color because they're racist cops? And
I think it's more of a zombie thing. So it's like, I don't know. It's more about whoever's in front of you.
Well, I mean, which could also be a person. I don't know. It didn't feel like a foolproof.
It's not foolproof, but
there was still a lot of these 3 women aren't hung up on the details, also, on the collateral.
Also, I would argue that it's not teaching anybody anything to just have them go totally nuts and get murdered.
I'm just saying, don't poke holes.
Oh,
don't poke holes.
Oh.
Yeah. It was fine.
It was fine.
I'm glad we didn't take away from the power of last week's episode by trotting out Lily Rabe again. Sure. I was really afraid that they were going to come up with a pill to make her human again, which would just completely have undone
all the stakes.
Everything. Like,
I'm going to say something and we're all going to have a good laugh, which is that I'm very optimistic for part 2. Because it's only 4 episodes. We gotta find the sweet spot, Ryan Murphy. I know it exists.
Because it's not 1 episode. No. We know that much. See our American Horror Stories coverage.
I know that it's
not 1, and it's not 13.
Exists.
It's not 10.
It's not 5, apparently. Or 6. I'm feeling good.
We're going to come out of Death Valley being like, we needed one more episode. It is 5. Maybe you're right.
Maybe it's 5. It's unbelievable.
Because that's another thing that I kind of hated about this. Maybe I hated it. It wasn't about, other than the first 15 minutes, it wasn't about Province. Like, it wasn't Red Tide.
Yeah.
He finds this way of turning everything into like a Hollywood commentary, and I'm like, you were already doing that.
Also, we already know all of your Hollywood commentary. It's not a hot take.
See our Sunset Boulevard coverage.
Or our Hollywood, a Ryan Murphy joint.
It was great. It was fine. All in all, a perfect season.
Certainly the most cohesive season to date.
Most effective.
Yeah.
Very beautiful and consistent in its beauty.
Yeah.
Macabre, even somewhat thought-provoking, and most importantly, funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
Outright funny. Lily Rabe and Leslie Grossman really earned their bonuses.
Absolutely.
And round of applause to Ryan Kiera Armstrong. She did a fantastic job. She really did.
I don't want to be alone in an elevator with that little girl. She spooks me.
I don't know. I was kind of on her side. Everyone was like, that little girl. And I'm like, I don't know.
She didn't know what she wanted. She also was like, Daddy, you have to get over Mommy. She's nothing anymore. She just kept going.
Truth and nothing but the truth.
She really was like she fucking put Lily Rabe in the ground and then was like, I'm gonna dig her up and keep hitting.
Real big Leanna Mormont energy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
But like if Leanna Mormont was already a White Walker.
So, okay, cool. Well, apparently we'll be back next week for episode 1 of American Horror Story Double Feature Part 2, Death Valley.
What? It looks spooky and alien-y.
I think it can go off the rails because Lily Rabe is playing Amelia Earhart. So I think.
What?
I think it's within the capacity.
Amelia Earhart. Oh my God.